Good morning. Welcome to this morning's service. My name is Elwin Hutchinson, and I'm a member of this year's high school group. Once a year, my high school class is given the opportunity to lead a service on any topic of special interest to teens. This year, we've decided on fluidity. Fluidity represents choices in our lives, and the fact that we don't always want or need to make them. Every aspect of life has a measure of fluidity, from growing up to learning skills or pursuing passions or falling in love. The Japanese philosopher Miyamoto Musashi said, "Fixation is the way to death. Fluidity is the way to life." Our intention with discussing this topic today is to show that choice between one thing or another isn't the only way of thinking, that fluidity between many different things can be a beautiful way to life. This morning, several youth will share with you personal stories of fluidity, friction, and choice making, and show you what it means to be a teenager in a not-so-fluid world. Again, welcome.
We search for our place in life and the answer to our heart's deepest questions. As we search, may our hearts be open to unexpected answers, and may the light of this chalice remind us that this is a community of warmth, of wisdom, and of welcoming of multiple truths.
As you walked in this morning, You were handed a square piece of paper. We invite you now to listen to our story and use your square to create something new. Our altar has some examples on it. We have set up a similar altar in Freeman Hall, and we hope you will leave your creation on one before you leave today. Just remember, there is no right or wrong way on how you fold, tear, or otherwise change your square. Will the young and young at heart please come forward to hear the story? Perfect square. It was a perfect square. It had 4 matching corners and 4 equal sides. And it was perfectly happy. But on Monday, the square was cut into pieces and poked full of holes. It wasn't perfectly square anymore. So it made itself into a fountain that babbled and giggled and clapped. On Tuesday, the square was torn into scraps. So it made itself into a garden. On Wednesday, the square was shredded into strips. So it made itself into a park. On Thursday, the square was shattered. So it made itself into a bridge. On Friday, the square was snipped into ribbons. So it made itself into a river. On Saturday, the square was crumpled and ripped and wrinkled. So it made itself into a mountain. On Sunday, the square waited to see what was next. It waited and waited. Nothing happened. Its 4 equal sides were confining. Its 4 matching corners were rigid and cramped. So it made itself into a window. That looked out on a mountain, that gave birth to a river, that was crossed by a bridge, that led to a park, that was home to a garden, that had at its center a fountain, that babbled and giggled and clapped. The end.
Good morning. My name is Morgan. As I was thinking about fluidity and what it means, I realized that I navigate fluidity in everyday life when I act differently with different people. I have to express myself very differently in different settings, which I'm sure everyone can relate to. Like in church, I find myself most true to my personality. I just feel we have some of the most open, caring, tolerant people. I used to live in Chicago, and there I felt my views were shared by the general population. When I moved down here, it was a little bit of a culture shock, and I knew that I needed to find a community that was unique and shared the same views. When my family found the UUCC, I knew that community was the one I wanted. A large population of UU members are well-informed and very intelligent, and that was something I really wanted and needed. I love my school friends and everything about them, but sometimes I feel I have to be a more subdued version of myself around them. I feel that I have to be more cautious around them because even though they are amazing, we don't have the same views in life and the same views of religion. I go to a school that houses a pretty rural community, and it sometimes feels that I am one of the only people who are not Christian. People at my school are also not well informed about current events and politics, so it feels that there are not a lot of people for me to connect with. If people do happen to be informed, they may be more conservative, and it is a conversation you can lose friends over. And last but not least, my engineering classes. I go to this school called CATA, Central Academy of Technology and Arts, and I am in an engineering academy, so I spend the majority of my time at school with the engineering crowd. I really have to act like one of the boys to fit in. It sometimes feels that the louder you are, the more popular and successful you are in that class. I feel that you can't really act feminine or softer to really make it in the engineering academy. The kids in my class feel like the engineering academy is a place to hang out with all their bros. And in order for girls to fit in, you have to act more like a guy and all that entails. So, in that class, my personality is very loud, and I have to grab attention because otherwise you're looked over. At this point, it's making me question an engineering career in general. I always like to stay true to myself no matter what situation I am in, but I'm learning I can't be the exact same person everywhere I go. I am fluid.
Hello. My name is Ben, sometimes, and I am gender fluid. For those of you who don't know what that means, I do not have a set or preferred gender. And if you don't understand that, it means that I feel masculine sometimes, but sometimes I feel feminine, and then sometimes I feel neither. I started to feel like I was gender fluid about a year ago. You see, I just felt I didn't belong in my body, like it wasn't who I felt it was. It wasn't me. I was feeling very feminine at the time, and I felt dysphoric. If you don't know what dysphoria is, or what it's like, I'll sum it up in one sentence. Basically, you look at your body, and you feel like you don't belong in it, like it isn't you. It isn't a very pleasant feeling, at all. So now, fast forward about 6 months, I'm starting to feel like the name Ben just doesn't sound like me. It feels too masculine, and I don't always feel masculine. And so, I've recently thought about going by a different name. I started brainstorming some names I could go by, and I landed on the name Sam. And I really started to like the name Sam, because it could be short for Samuel or Samantha. And since then, I got the courage to go to my friends and come out to them. Tell them I am gender fluid, and that I wish to be called Sam. So how am I fluid other than the identity gender fluid? Well, I'll tell you. There are many choices I make in my life that have to do with me being gender fluid. One being that around my friends, I choose to go by the name Sam. However, right now, I do not go by that name anywhere else. And I also do not know if I'll always go by Sam. I do know that at this moment in my life that I like the name and it's my choice. But in 10 years, I don't know how I will feel about being called Sam. I do know that I can always go back to being called Ben around my friends, and that if I want to, I can stick with the name or even change to a different name entirely. My name choice is very fluid. Sometimes I feel I know exactly what I want to be called, and other times, not so much. This fluidity also comes into play with my pronouns that I use, as I do not use any pronouns exclusively. Rather, I switch between using they, them, she, her, and he, him. Some days, I don't know what pronouns to use. Other days, I do know that I want to be called he, and other days, she. So you see, really, my pronouns are very fluid, and so is my name, and so is my gender. I am fluid.
In the morning, I could take the burning sun. I could be the only warning, but I'm not the only one. So forgive me, 'cause it's more than I can bear. In demand, I make my mind up by deciding not to care. Stop giving me choices. Stop giving me choices.
I'm the victim of this day and age. I've forgotten how to feel. I've forgotten how to change. So I surrender to the apple of my eye. I surrender to the wind. I will let the wind decide. Stop giving me choices. Stop giving me choices. Stop giving me choices. Stop giving me choices.
I could break it. I could break it till it hurts. I could take whatever words you say, pretend it never hurt.
So forgive me. Shouldn't be so hard. It's the way I put together, so you're never getting past. Can't we talk this through? Actions are not what I'm used to. Can't we talk this through? Actions are not what I'm used to. Stop giving me choices. Stop giving me choices. Stop giving me choices. Stop giving me choices.
I surrender.
Stop giving me choices. Stop giving me choices.
So forgive me.
Stop giving me choices. Stop giving me choices.
Without friction, we would float up into space.
Maybe you could be the friction that would keep me in my place. In the morning, I could take the burning sun. I could be the only one, but I'm not the only one.
morning. My name is Amelia Hagen. From a young age, I knew what I believed. When I was in the 2nd grade, I was sent home from school because I didn't believe in God. Well, sort of. I was told by my classmates that the reason you shouldn't put up your middle finger was because it was offensive to God. And I knew that I didn't believe in God. Therefore, I proudly flipped off every member of my 2nd grade class, declaring, "It's okay, God's not real." It turns out that there are other reasons why giving the bird is inappropriate. Regardless of my behavior, the sentiment stood. I did not believe in a higher power. Until one day, I did. It was not as if I had a revelation or some divine moment or something. Somehow, slowly, my view of the world had just shifted. I no longer felt as though we were alone and put on earth by works of science and evolution, but that perhaps there was a greater power at work. Little by little, and day by day, year by year, my perspective had changed. I slowly began to have a deep belief in the power of prayer and of God herself. My experiences with Luna rising and coming of age showed me the power of the divine feminine. I saw God as a multifaceted being, unbound by a name or human characteristics. I prayed daily, read literature by pagan writers, and did research on rituals. These practices made me feel closer to God and part of a bigger picture. And then, and I can't say when, this stopped. I know that one day I no longer felt that closeness. Had God abandoned me? Had I been wrong about a higher being all along? Would I ever feel connected again? I didn't know. So I stopped the practices that had once comforted me, and it was a long while before I searched for higher meaning or connection again. I looked into other beliefs and religious practices, but none seemed to suit my current place in life. Over the past 2 years, much of my life has changed. I have found comfort and the feeling of closeness in the conviction of the divine balance of the universe. Now, I do not know if there is a higher power out there, but I believe that there is a greater story at play than my own. I trust now that I will never be given more than I can handle, and that everything happens for a reason. None of these beliefs have come to me suddenly or quickly. They all came fluidly and over time. When people ask me what my religion is, and more specifically what I believe, the question can be concerning because, you see, I don't always know. There are such a plethora of choices about what or how to believe. It can be truly overwhelming. But I don't need to choose. Rejecting the choice, and in that way choosing to accept what comes, has been personally freeing. I am fluid. I don't worry about finding a belief system that works for me. I let it form of its own volition. In this way, I feel connected to the world around me without the pressure of choice. Thank you.
My name is Will McCaffrey. Welcome to today's service, whether you are here in this room, in our alternate worship space in Berenstein Room, watching the service by way of our live stream, or viewing an archived video of this service. We're honored to have guests with us here today. Our members would like to greet you following the service. So that we might do so, if you are visiting, please raise your hand and keep it up. Members, please take note of the guests seated near you. After the service, invite them to join you for coffee and conversation in Freeman Hall. Should it enchance your experience of future services, you can find both a large print order of service and a personal hearing assistance device on the table at the entrance of the sanctuary. If you'd like to learn more about us, please fill out a yellow card and place your completed card in an offering basket when they're passed later in the service. Members with a life event to share can do so on the reverse side of the card. You'll find them alongside with offering envelopes on the clipboards at the end of the rows. Please begin passing down your row now. Some returning visitors may be interested in hearing how to become a member. If so, talk to our membership coordinator, Kelly Green. Her contact info is on your order. Again, to each of you, welcome.
Good morning. My name is Craig Miller, and I'm one of the senior high advisors. Ours is a congregation of community, and like any community, we have both joys to celebrate and concerns to share with each other. We hold in our hearts our members who are facing long-term health challenges and those who serve as caregivers. Everyone is invited to light a candle during the offering part of our service to mark a celebration, concern, or remembrance. Our hearts and prayers go to the family and friends of those who were killed at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh. We condemn these senseless and hateful acts where human life and value are cast aside to serve misguided and hateful ideology, and we commit ourselves to creating a more loving and just society. We all need to hear each other, we all need each other, both to hear us and to provide us the gift of listening. Let us be there for each other today and in the coming week.
I now invite you to a time of meditation and aspiration. Please sit quietly and close your eyes and listen very carefully. In a moment, I will sound a bell. Listen to the bell. Let your mind follow the bell as it grows fainter and fainter until it just fades away. Keep your eyes closed, then take a deep breath and open your eyes. Ready? Now, keeping your eyes closed, take a deep breath in and out. Again, in and out. Slowly open your eyes and come back to the present. Blessed be.
Show me a reason and I'll soon show you a rhyme. Cats fit on the windowsill, children fit in the snow. Why do I feel I don't fit in anywhere I go? Rivers belong where they can ramble. Eagles belong where they can fly. I've got to be where my spirit can run free. Gotta find my corner of the sky. Everyone has their daydreams. Everyone has their goal. People like the way dreams have of sticking to the soul. Rain comes after thunder, winter comes after fall. Sometimes I think I'm not after anything at all. Rivers belong where they can ramble. Eagles belong where they can fly. I've got to be where my spirit can run free. Gotta find my corner of the sky. Ooh, and be some misty day you'll waken to find me gone, and far away you'll hear me singing to the dawn, and you'll wonder if I'm happy there a little more than I've been, and the answer will come back to you like laughter on the wind. Rivers belong where they can ramble. Eagles belong where they can fly. I've got to be where my spirit can run free. Gotta find my corner of the sky.
Good morning. My name is Ryan Feely. I know I speak for all the youth before you today, and I say that this congregation has had an enormous impact on our lives. It provided a supportive and accepting community to grow up in, and taught important values. It continues to play a critical role in my life to this day, and helps me prepare for the stages to come. That's why we ask for your generosity today. By giving, you can provide generations to come the same experiences and programming that we have enjoyed. Thank you.
I invite you to join my classmates and me in an affirmation of our faith. Rise in body or spirit. We, the youth, will recite the italicized lines, and you, the congregation, the bold ones. We are bombarded daily with choices,
some large, some seemingly insignificant, and wonder which choices might change our lives. We feel the inner doubts and questions and try to live life fully, creating the life we want by our words and deeds. Sometimes we take a chance, we make a choice, we let go of the feeling it has to be the right one. Sometimes it's not the right one, and we accept that and move in another direction.
In our society of unlimited choices, nobody can be defined by one word or idea. It is both easier and more truthful to be many. In the words of Walt Whitman, "There is that in me, I do not know what it is, but I know it is in me. I do not know it, it is without name. It is a word unsaid. It is not in any dictionary, utterance, or symbol. I am large. I contain multitudes. We are fluid." Please be seated for the closing music.